Pulling up some charts.
And here we are. Chat, we are live.
Hey, how are
Hey.
we? He's back from the dead, back from the woods.
Jebediah Corningstone is here, everyone. I think we're a little bit delayed. I don't know if the chat can hear us yet.
I just found out something. I was trying to get the Wine Wednesday feed from my personal YouTube account. I apparently have 2 subscribers.
You have your own YouTube account?
No,
Oh,
it's just one that you have to make an account to
yeah, for your
watch
own
videos.
Google, right?
I went to hit switch account and it said 2 subscribers. I gotta
Nice.
find out who they are and send them something. Okay. Well, just if you're wondering, Wine Wednesday is the first thing that pops up when you type in Wine W, but it's not us.
Is it not?
All right, it's live. You got it.
Do we have comments? I can't see any comments.
Yeah, Michael says first. William Greger says, "What's up,
Oh
fellas?"
gosh, I gotta refresh my page then. My chat's not loading.
It should from the main screen, the whatever you call it, the YouTube editor area
There we
should
go. I
that
see
should
it
be
now.
live.
I got everybody. Alrighty. Well, welcome everyone.
Welcome in.
Welcome Dom back. I was telling everybody, Dom, they be proud while you were gone. We were getting 50% like ratio, easy
Okay.
peasy. They knew the drill. I didn't even have to nag them that much. They already knew.
Well, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of that, we might as well talk about it right now. We already have 12 likes. Like that's impressive. But it's not the goals that we set for ourselves. We set high standards here. Uh, so make sure you are hitting that like button. Fran says, "Welcome back, Tom." Yep, I'm back. I feel bad that Kyle was the one filling in for Good Morning Nasdaq over on the West Coast, but that's the longest break I'll be taking all year. So you won't have to miss my face for any stretch that long ever. I just sat in the woods for 7 days and 7 nights, and Kyle's gonna get me caught up. So if it's just the two of us, we might as well do a one-on-one therapy session where, which is kind of a good lesson in and of itself. Where you've taken trips to Europe. I know you probably traded a bit there. Um, I'm like so extreme, and I hate that this shows up in my life in so many places, whether it's like diet, exercise, um, having too much fun. It's just like if I go on vacation, I always tell myself I brought my camera equipment, which I have not been able to set up properly. I brought my laptop. I'm like, if there's a play, I'm gonna do it, even if I have to take my laptop into the stand. And then like day two on like Thursday, I was like, I am not looking at the market. Like I'm on vacation, I'm on a break, I'm gonna detox. And it felt good. Like getting back home today, first thing I did was go and look through the entire chat log from the last 5 trading days and was just trying to get caught up. I'm like, oh my gosh, there was a perfect reversal today on LIFW. I would have definitely traded that. But yeah, what do you like to do after a big break? I know you're a lot better at being mobile and trading while you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do recall that biggest break I took was definitely in May when I went to Europe, Italy specifically. And I think that's on. I mean, I know exactly what you mean. Like honestly, I only think I took a break because I kind of had to. Like I had booked the whole trip with the tour company that like you follow like there was no option to be like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick back and not go on the tour today, guys. Like I paid this company to take me around, right? So it was kind of one of those things where I think there was 2 days out of the week and a half, 2 weeks where I traded only because we were on a bus from city to city during the market open. So I just traded from my phone. So in many ways, I was kind of forced not to show up. But most vacations and or just away from the general office, I try to. I mean, I'm just a DGen, right? You just try to fit the at least first hour available. But yeah, even if I know I'm not trading, because there's been times where I'm off the market, like I'm off, but you can't not look, which I'm sure you kind of maybe it's at times would check your phone just to see like not even on trading. I'd always just check the markets, see where we're looking at and how we're looking.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I've heard this in many ways for traders. It's hard to completely like totally shut off and separate from even looking at a quote, whether you're trading or not. And so I definitely would agree. I would have done the same thing if you were. I would have brought all my stuff just in case. But then yeah, at times there hasn't been. I wouldn't.
Well, you get so used to like just being gone. You're like, I'm gone. I work really hard, with regular trading with Clover, and you're like, if I have a break and I have the time off and I don't need to trade, like, and there isn't like a groundbreaking opportunity, like some of ended up being really good opportunities, but I don't really think I would have participated in. But yeah, then after like 2 days of not looking, I'll tell you what, you can get detached from the market real quick. Like just in what, 5 or 6 trading days.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a whole slew of tickers. I have to go back and see where the overall market's at. Oh, the what? Wow. So it seemed the perfectly timed rally in the market with my vacation.
Oh, the SPY. I guess you were gone for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, SPY
I'm like, it's at 436.
after the FOMC, the SPY just went on a straight pump. Although
Yeah, wow.
didn't really. I mean, I guess I brought some runners back in small cap, but it didn't really. It didn't ignite the fire per se. I mean, it brought plays back. Like LAFW is probably the biggest runner that moved while you were
Yeah.
gone, but that was about it. In fact, there was a lot of small caps that followed the SPY, but the ones who did were like super liquid. Like they just kind of
Okay.
uptrended with the SPY in like the 3 or 4 green days in a row, but they were just like the most liquid runners. So they weren't actually good plays.
I saw
But
at one point I saw a trade alert for from Jack saying he bought all the AI stocks. I don't see anything with any of them.
that too,
What happened there?
they all bounced AI specifically. I think it's what I don't even know what it's trading at now, but it went from what 23, 24 to like 27, 28
Yeah,
ish.
topped out
I
29.
think he has a longer term swing idea that maybe later into the end of the year these will, you know, end how they started on a run.
Okay.
But I definitely did not join nor feel any FOMO.
You never know. I didn't read that part about it being a long-term thing because I don't see any small cap movement there.
Right. I think he just scooped them all up for maybe multi-week, multi-month swing.
Were
But
any of the people buying the LIFW breakout, or because I mean that's one where I don't know if it would have been on radar enough.
not that I saw in chat. I think a couple people probably participated in the reversal today. I know a couple of people asked on Good Morning Nasdaq about the reversal potential move, and then a couple comments in the chat today. But nothing, and just in general, I mean, the last week and a half, even for myself and for I think a lot of people in the room, it's just been a slow period. Not a lot of people have shared their trades or posted charts. It's been kind of a dull period. Normally, I think I would have saw a period like this in the summertime, but it's come on the end of October, early November. So
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was weird. As I kept seeing like the same tickers pop up, and my brother, who gets way more emotional about being gone from the market, where I'm like, I don't want to know about any stocks. He's like, wow, I would have made $700 million on that play. And so I felt like I thought the market was just ripping, and there was just great plays. It's pretty much what 3 or 4 tickers: LFW, CDIO, TNON, SNTI is an interesting one.
yeah, so in terms of, I know you and Huddy have been testing out the gapper strategy. SNTI was an okay gapper. Oh, actually, that ran higher today. Interesting. It was an okay gapper yesterday. Today, what was today? MS or MSCS or HSCS? I think it was HSCS. Let me get the yeah
That is one,
HSCS
yeah,
was a
50 cent one.
huge gap and crapper today. Heard borrows were really hard to find though, so those are still going on. But yeah, in terms of runners, that was really it. AMC earnings in after hours today, pretty uneventful. Listen to the
You're
conference
still
call.
just stalking them for ATM.
I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, after listening to the call, they're actually like in a way better position than I thought they were. They've got like 700 plus million in cash. So I'm like, it made me honestly question like, why did they do a first ATM? I was like, wait, what? You guys had like, did all that ATM just go into your bank account? Like what? So I have no idea. I'm assuming at some point they'll have to do an ATM to pay. Again, they still have like $2 or $3 billion in debt coming in 2026. But again, that's 2 years away, and I don't know what their repayment program looks like in terms of paying that debt down. If it's all at once at the end or monthly, or I don't know. But the point is, the way they sounded, it was like crap. I don't see them really needing an ATM for a long time. So we'll see. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. But I'm glad I listened
Okay.
in. So.
I just got hungry for popcorn all of a sudden. Whenever you talk about it.
It's funny, and I was messaging a buddy. We were making fun of the earnings call. They have this thing called AMC Perfectly Popcorn now. That is now like it's all in Kroger stores. They're taking it to Amazon. They're taking it, or they've done it at Walmart, and they were just like pumping themselves up to like their
So
AMC
they got a
style
retail
popcorn.
product now?
Yeah, they have retail
Okay.
popcorn. Yeah,
Is there any other companies that have that?
I have no idea. Like in terms of
I
like
remember when I
all
used to go to Blockbuster, you could get the bucket of popcorn that would pop in the bucket, and that was as close as it ever got.
right.
But
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a Regal Cinemas popcorn. I have no idea, but
would it blow your mind if I told you I didn't know what that was?
What, Regal Cinemas?
Yeah.
I just know Regal. It's like I gotta find the actual picture of it because like every cinema has their own branding. Like I just know
Yeah.
the picture, but where I live, it's usually a competitor to AMC.
Yeah. Do you have Imagines there?
No, I
Maybe that's a
don't.
Midwest thing. That's
Yeah,
the biggest one around me.
interesting. AMC
I
definitely
do
seems the
know of
most
one
popular.
AMC.
Anyways, yeah, so that's
Definitely gonna
about
get
it.
some popcorn after this.
But yeah, CIDO though was a good little short today. Made some money on that. Other than that, what else did I make money on?
You swinging that overnight?
No, I decided not to and just take it easy. But I do think that probably goes lower the next day. I do agree with that.
Did anyone buy that breakout? See, that's kind of like LIFW, where it's like they look like no brainers if you just look at them and how far they went, and they set up in multi-day fashions. But like, there's a pretty big volume day, I guess, on the 30 on last Tuesday. I don't even remember talking about that, and I was around. Yeah, I don't know.
From the gap up. I
Was
mean,
there any reason that LIFW kind of just squeezed? Is it a reverse split?
it's from either that I can't remember if it was a reverse split. All I know is that when you look at the float, it looks like from the data I found online of the float, it looks huge, but it's also like massively institutionally owned, so it ends up being a low float. Either that or there was an actual split. In fact, I think it was a split because it looks like a
I
D-SPAC.
think it was a recent low price stock, wasn't it?
It had to have been because I'm looking at the chart and it almost looks like, yeah. I mean, it didn't open at 250, so there probably, and if it was a SPAC, 250 would
Yeah,
have been
it was
tens,
last month
so
to
25 for
regain
one.
compliance, and they have regained their compliance.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, so it trades like a low float, kind of is a low float. So yeah, I just squeezed super hard on that. What was it, Monday? Borrow's been slim though. I haven't even traded it because I
Yeah.
just haven't even found borrows personally. So I haven't really
See,
touched
that's
this
another
one.
one of those things, and I put it in my watch list for those of you who are three or four leaves. Um, Kind of the process for going when you've been taking a little break is, having to learn the fundamentals on all these things. Because normally I spend every morning here on YouTube with you guys going through, and so LIFW, on any one of these big run days, I would have gone through the fundamentals, had it all ready to go, and so that way any plays down the road on it, I'd know everything. So now I got to kind of catch up
Yeah.
and learn the stories of all these things.
TNON was also a good runner today, and in the previous couple days. Don't really think it was a breakout. Let me relook at the chart here.
That looks like just a random off the lows.
Yeah, I think for a while some people thought it might have been sympathies with like CDIO or TNON, but it's kind of all of them eventually ran on their own kind of own agenda or own accord. So I think TNON's also doing its own thing as well.
Did you short that at all today? Did any
No,
of the speed
borrows were
ups?
also when it was gonna go and when it was getting overextended in the fours. I was looking for borrows and couldn't find anything. So
It's kind of like a weird manipulated one. Like that's a perfect trend line all day, and then it just breaks it, and they let it sell right off like
just let it
so
go.
cleanly.
Right. This one was a former liquidation play back
Yeah,
in
I
2022.
remember this 2022.
I remember losing like 30K or 40K on it, getting
I
bought
think yeah,
in,
I
and
think
then
David was long it, wasn't
I don't know. He's long a lot of them.
he?
He's long. I think he's long at like he's like long 5 or 6 of them at a time, all the times of the day. So probably I'd have to
Because that
assume he
was one
was.
of those that broke out big and then dumped from like the highs. I
Right.
haven't seen one of those in a while. I miss those. I don't miss those. Those things were like they take everyone you trade, you take 5 days off your life.
Yeah. He's like, gray
Even
hair.
the ones that worked, you have like 3 hours of like stress in the morning
Yeah, until you're yeah.
because it's either a giant payday and like the size I finally started trading at those, it's either a great trade, a fantastic payday, or it's like a complete from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock headache that you don't know if you're gonna make it out of alive.
It's either yeah.
Because I remember the phone call with Huddy. I pulled in from the gym, and it was the day before we were going to meet up in Palm Springs
Hmm.
to do Clover stuff. And so I was already in my head, like, not vacation, but like I'm leaving. Was it a Thursday or Friday? I think I
Yeah,
had
it
to
had
have
to
been
been
right
right
before the
before the
weekend.
weekend. Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's deader and dead out there. We talking on the way, and he's like, but I have a play for you. And I'm like, what? He's like, top is gapping up on volume, is doing massive volume in the pre-market. And I remember it was like that. But when you always think about before you make a big mistake, like everything that led up to it, was there ever a moment you could have,
Yeah, look back and
avoided
be
the whole
like,
situation
right.
altogether? And I just remember like going from I'm not trading today at all to I located 25,000 shares in that
I'm taking the biggest loss of my year right here.
and I only ever use like 1/10 of that or less. That's yeah. There were so many red flags with all that.
That's funny. Um, El Jefe asked, "Did you get a deer, Dom? I know you got
I
a
did
deer.
not.
What you got a deer a month
I
ago? What
I got
was?
one on opening day. Yep, in
Okay,
October. Um, I didn't get one. Nope. I had a really good opportunity. I talked about it in the Instagram short for a second or whatever you call them, live, not even live
story.
video
Yeah.
story. There you go. I think it was Sunday night. I had a really good opportunity on a nice 8 point, but
Is 8 point?
my
Are they
eyes,
points by what horns? Is that what they're
yeah,
guessing?
like tips of the each individual rack, like
Yeah.
the parts that separate from each other. Um, they're called tines. But no, it just all happened too fast. Walked in from the left to the right, and I saw a big rack on the right side, and I couldn't identify that the left side matched because we had this deer on that property where it has a really big rack on one side and then just one horn on the left, and I didn't want to kill it, and we just kept walking at 25 yards, just beautifully broadside, and I just didn't do it because it I couldn't identify it enough as being one I wanted to take down. But I'll tell you what, I had buck fever like I've never before. My legs, and yet I know you don't know anything about hunting, Kyle, but
Mhm.
you just get like full of adrenaline when you see a buck that gets you excited.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I was just standing there like ready to go, and my legs are just like vibrating, and my heart must have been like 190. And I was like, oh, I didn't even shoot the deer, and I was like full of adrenaline. I had to sit down and like breathe for like 10 minutes.
Right, right. I can only imagine. I mean, I feel like I never been in that situation, but I could easily relate to it because I immediately think of like I don't know where I would have felt that, but like in a video game, right? You're waiting and you finally see like in a real life like online game, you finally see like
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you've been waiting. Like I sat there's 7 days in a row, probably 8 to 10 hours a day in the stand, like for what that 30-second experience where I saw a lot of other deer, but this was one I actually wanted to shoot. Uh, it's just crazy, like the time spent versus what actually. So you get really excited when it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Um, that's why so many people miss because it's hard to stay calm.
Right, right. Well, alrighty, right on. And so how? I mean, if it's not if you're I mean, is it very similar? I'd almost like it's probably like fishing more than trading, but like, I mean, most of it's just waiting, right? You're just sitting in the tree, hanging
Yes.
out.
And most of the time you're there when you expect there not to be deer, but because you have to get in there before the deer are there. And it's like the prime time is like, well, right now is the rut here in Michigan. So they move a lot more often throughout the day. But generally it's like you have like the first 2 hours right at from sun up and then the last like hour before dark.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to get out there, the sun goes down at 5:30 now. I was getting out there at like 12 to 1 o'clock just A, it's the rut, but B, um, you got to get out there early enough or your whole hunt could be ruined if you spook a bunch of deer on the way in.
Right. Yeah, I was made me think if there's like a general rule, like if there's certain people camping out in a certain area, like you only have your window to get in because if you come in late, you're ruining it for everybody else in the area, kind of thing.
That for public land, yeah. For this, we lease a little property, and so we all know where everyone's going to be
Mm-hmm.
on it that night, like whoever's at the camp. But in public land, yeah, that also too can happen. Public land's crazy. Botsky did it a bunch last year. Not a fan of it, mostly because of that, because you have to deal with other people.
Yeah,
And
randomly
I
like you're
remember once
waiting.
we were there on public land last year, and it's finally gets to prime time. We've been there for like 3 hours, and then like these people who were like trapping beavers or something just walked in with their dogs, and they're walking everywhere and making a bunch of noise. And like, well, that was a waste of a night.
Right.
But that's what public land
It's
is.
like deer's not coming now. Yeah. And so while
No
you're
deers
waiting,
for
you
me.
can't like. I mean, do you are you on your phone? Do you listen to music? Like, because you really can't talk. So I mean, there's a lot of it boredom and in between the time. Like,
Yeah, it is bore. It's a weird type of boring though, but it's like, and that's why I think this vacation I didn't really want to trade just because it was kind of like a detox. It was different than like, going to Florida or something and just there's beach and pool. This was like therapeutic, like sitting in the wood. I don't know what it is about the woods, being by yourself and just kind of infiltrating the area, watching the chipmunks. Deer are there, but they don't know you're there and you're watching them. I don't know. You play on your phone, you got to get a good game. If you have service, I can look up stuff, but most of the time I didn't have too much service. Um, it's boredom, but it like the time flies. I don't know how it works because when I think about the fact that last 7 days I just sat there in a tree
Right.
for like 8 to 10 hours a day, it sounds like you couldn't pay someone to do it, but like hundreds of thousands of people, millions probably do it every year, like all year, all hunting season long, and they keep going back to it. I don't know what it is, but it's a passion, and it's one that the second I did it the first few times, I was like, why didn't I grow up in a hunting family? Because it's just so peaceful.
Hmm.
And yeah, my worst deer hunting experience was when I was in IMUX in the tree stand and
Oh,
everyone's calling me and very,
yeah.
it's like when people call you at 9:30 in the morning. Over the first few years you have to teach them and condition them that you don't call me at 9:30 in the morning, right? And you don't call if you're hunting either, because I can't talk on the phone. I can't be talking, but I should answer that phone call sooner. But I
Right.
remember being in the sand, still feeling very peaceful after that. Though I accepted it a lot sooner.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At that point, it was almost like out of your like it happens. You're like, well, I'm here still.
Yep.
Like nothing I can do now. So here we go. Well, alrighty, right on. Um, let's check the chat. Make sure we're not leaving anybody hanging here. Um,
Make sure you hit that like button as well. We're at 61. We're at 29. So not a frustrating ask for me right now because I expect two people to click it. Easy peasy,
easy
lemon
peasy.
squeezy.
Um, William says, I think he sold them all. I don't. I think he's referring to when we were talking about Jack and
Kellogg,
AI.
yeah.
Yeah, swings. If he sold them all, then he definitely fooled me. I thought he was. I thought he was a little bit longer term.
Yeah,
Buying
he's the
them.
guy I trust to stick to his plan. You too, especially on your longs with risk levels. But I remember
Yeah.
your AI long, and I was like, so because Emilio was in the exact same trade, and I was just like, you got a pretty good chunk out of it. And you were just like, no, I'm using like 38 or 40 as risk, and I'm not touching you. You were in like 3 days, and it looked horrible, and you were just like, still doesn't tap me out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I look in hindsight. I was like, yeah. I mean, well, it's just one of those things where like it didn't look great, and so it was almost like I just had such high conviction it was going to go higher. Like I knew if true momentum was going to come, it was going to see 50, 55, 60, 65, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of tried my best to just ignore how it looked in the short term. But again, in hindsight, like seeing how it ended up playing out, it's like, yeah, why didn't I sell a little bit somewhere before my risk? But that's the game you play. Because again, the next sector, let's call it, who knows what it is, and I do the same thing, and it actually is a true hot sector versus the kind of half-assed ones we saw from AI. A completely different story plays out. So it's kind of hard, but yeah, in some
Yeah, and
cases,
especially when you make that plan, like, oh, I'm going to be patient. I have my risk level and I want to see a big move. Like, it's not like a normal play. You're like, okay, I got my 20%. I'm moving on. You're like, I'm here in case something crazy happens. And so I need to be in it as long as possible for that to happen.
right?
Um, and then when it does work out, it's glorious.
Yeah, all I can think about was what was it? Tilray when it went to 300. I was like, yeah, dude, AI, this is it.
Dude, our if we had that, even just the OTC weed stocks back then, if you could just be patient for 2 days, every breakout, just hold 2 days, sell on the third gap up. Like I just remember playing such small parts of the moves, like the breakout, and then selling like the end of the day or at the end of the first gap, and
Right,
just like how well we did growing the accounts back then to like what really could have been if we like learned to maximize those.
right.
You live and you learn.
That's what trading is. Um,
Mason asked if anyone played LIFW for Screen Day. I wasn't trading. I find it hard to believe I wouldn't have traded it. Had all the makings of like exactly what you look for. You got a crazy, incredibly volatile run on big volume from what, $3 to
yeah,
18.
14, 18, yeah,
Huge
huge
range.
move.
And then my favorite part is really yesterday, where and this is my ones that really intrigue me for first screenings are these ones that do go into the teens, because then there's so much room for the bounce once they come down to reality and it's a 5, 6, 7 stock. You're now in a situation where a stock has proved it can go 3 to 18, so it can move a couple dollars really quick from any price level. And now it's like a $6 stock, so it's cheap again. Everyone can buy it, they can chase it. You can get more shares, like, and then you have that sideways all day yesterday where it really couldn't go any lower. Tried to go break lows at the afternoon, and then opened right inside of that range. Morning spikes, ABCDs, $3 a share up. And did you short this? Because it kind of went right into Schwartz's premium levels for like a bounce into resistance.
Yeah. No, I couldn't find borrows, but I mean, yeah, I looked at the fade. I'm like, wow. I mean, a low at 11 to 7 or 6, whatever it was, incredible. No, borrows are on the day it ran to 18 and on today, just, and even yesterday, when the oversending gap down, I mean, borrows were just really slim. And again, maybe I didn't check early enough in the morning, but yeah, never really found anything worth paying for, or any at all. So one of those things, which is also how I feel about TNON. Only because I see Brian asks about TNON for a first red day, and it's like, yeah, I like it, but when I looked today in terms of the late day when it started squeezing, again, maybe I was too late, but I saw practically nothing. So
Is that just the theme this week? What's going on with it?
I don't know. I think they're both just
You've
low
said that about
floats.
every single runner.
Yeah, they're just both. I think they're both low floats, and so borrows are just slimmer on lower floats, and so just what we've been seeing. It's what's been happening. Not as much borrows out there. So
Yeah, you'll definitely be watching that one for tomorrow.
yeah, if I find borrows, then yeah, I'd love to give it a shot. So
If you just extend your bedtime a little bit, you can hit that 4 a.m. window.
right. That's the thing too. When I was in New York with Huddy, we actually like my sleep patterns didn't change. Like so, I would go to bed between 9 and 10 a.m. West or Pacific Coast, so which is like 12 to 1 East Coast. I don't know if it's because me and Huddy are hanging out, so we like stay up later. But I mean, I didn't go to bed till 12 o'clock every night. So it was like I'm still going to bed at the same time I would be. So I mean, I
But
woke
you
up.
feel like a rebel.
I mean, I woke up maybe slightly better because it was already more light out. Like maybe my eyes and body just adjusted in that sense. But I was still just as tired. Maybe I think in general, no matter where I am, I'm not a morning person. So
Yeah.
um, it wasn't the easiest shift when I'm still going to bed at the same time technically. So
Yeah, they're
let's
saying
say,
split.
oh yeah, your brother says the woods is very peaceful. Totally.
It is very
Should go
peaceful.
barefoot.
Gregory says, no, not for me. I'm afraid of a lot of the animals and stuff that are out there. I see these people hunting, deer hunting in Florida, and they're just like, they are barefoot. There's walking around in swamps or there's like giant snakes and alligators. And I'm like, I think I'm a fake outdoorsman because that doesn't interest me at all.
Have you
I would
seen?
be like so feared for my life the whole time.
There's that one guy. I mean, he's not even around anymore. I saw him maybe because this is when I watched Discovery Channel, which was probably years ago. But there was that one show on Discovery Channel where like two guys tried to survive together, and it wasn't Bear Grylls. It was two other guys, and
Survivor Man or
maybe, but one of them
Naked and
was
Afraid?
one of not naked and afraid, but one of them was barefoot. Like he did not wear shoes, and he walked on practically anything. It was crazy. Like he had no pain. It was like his feet just became incredibly calloused, like
Yeah.
super. So like he just walked everywhere.
Yeah, I've heard you can kind of force that if you just do it way more often,
Right.
and like you can walk on rocks, no problem. You ever see those kids, like when you all your friends when you were kids, or some of them? I remember this one kid who could definitely just walk on any. He was always barefoot all summer, and we'd be going, on bridges and down rocks and go fishing. Just never wore shoes. And if I tried to do, or they're walking like hot pavement, and you're like, doesn't that hurt? They're like, no, I don't feel that.
Yeah.
But you can force that. But no, I'm not doing that.
Fran asked Kyle, or are you in any weed stocks, Kyle? I am not. I did try to participate in the last read run and kind of I made some money, but I also then lost some money. But in terms of swinging, no, weed stocks are pretty crappy. Actually, technically that's a lie. I am in, and this isn't, and I maybe I didn't even think to mention this because this isn't a trade at all. I've been recently, and I've talked about this before in previous. I don't know if it's Wine Wednesdays or webinars or whatever. I've started to devoting a set amount of money to the side to start investing in like a dividend portfolio, just a different idea and style of making some kind of passive income. And I do own the weed REIT IIPR, which the only reason why it's weed related is because they essentially buy out because weed is still federally illegal, and a lot of companies struggle to finance their operations because they can't really work with a traditional bank. A lot of them sometimes need cash, and so what IIPR does is they go in, they say, "Hey, we'll buy your land off you, and then lease it back to you." So then that way, the weed company gets a very large lump sum of cash. Say they sell their land for $10 million. Now the weed company has $10 million to operate with. But on top of that, then they just slowly pay their rent back to IIPR. So it's like they pretty much get their money back over month per month back in like lease money. And again, because it's a REIT, they have to give a certain amount of revenues and dividends. So I think it pays like 9 or 10%, pretty high. And
Oh, wow.
it definitely follows the weed market for sure. So it's kind of volatile. But I thought I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I do have some money in that one. But
What
other
are
than
the other
that,
ones?
no.
MSOS or something?
Yeah, that's like another ETF.
Oh,
But yeah, in terms of trading, no weed stocks. But in terms of investing, yeah, I've got IIPR.
I
Um,
wish there was weed stocks to play.
what's up?
Said I wish there was weed stocks to play.
Yeah, I actually saw a tweet today. I think some state just tried to make it illegal. Was it Ohio?
Illegal?
No, illegal. Um,
Oh,
was it Ohio? I feel like I want to say Ohio, but I could be just absolutely dead wrong on that. I'm probably not gonna be able to find the tweet here, but definitely saw a tweet that some state was making another legal again. So,
Ohio votes to legalize marijuana for recreational use.
oh, there we go.
Yeah,
It was Ohio.
yesterday.
Unfortunately, it's not. That's not big of news anymore. Like now, it's like,
That would have set us off on a 2 week run.
yeah, back in 2017, 2018, it's like what was it, California and like three other states, and it was like just that was the run for those reasons. And now it's like Ohio, and no one cares. you know?
Well, because it's so many like I'm in Michigan where it's been that way for a while, like legal, and so like I feel like a lot of the countries like that where you see an article like that or PR and you're like, oh, normal,
Yeah,
okay,
it's the norm.
nothing
Yeah,
groundbreaking there, and that's always it's the only real puzzle piece that could ever drop for us is like federally, and it just feels like we're moving that direction at some point in the next like 10 years. So I don't even. It just feels like it's just trickling good PRs that we all need to take by storm. Kind of like AI earlier this year, where it was just like randomly, just like boom.
right. I feel like it's taking way too long though too. Like I feel like at this point it shouldn't be that hard to
I would have told you that 10 years ago that we would have already be federally legal
right.
now.
We're still not. What do you guys? Or Austin asked, what do you guys look for when loading or when not loading when looking to overnight a play long? Um, Probably a better answer for you, Dom, or question. But I mean, for me, honestly, what I'm about to say is what I learned from Dom, which is like I need something closing relatively at its highs and off of some kind of good consolidation level of at least an hour or two at the minimum. Not too overdone, like not something that's going parabolic into the close, because then I think it might be too strong, it might gap down. And also, not. I mean, Kellogg likes buying things sometimes pretty weak because he thinks they'll gap up. I don't like when things are too weak. I like something somewhere in the medium to strong range off of ideally big volume and off a consolidation level that I can risk off of. And it's hard to say because that sounds so broad. Like there's many stocks that are fit that criteria, but there's a certain like look to them. And OTCs had them a lot, but there hasn't been any OTCs in a while. The reason why I say that because a lot of these OTCs that looked like that, and we used to call them, Dom coined it an OT swizzle. So many of them would gap up the next day, but I mean we just haven't seen that, and I haven't taken a trade like that probably in months, if not on the OTC market. Probably I think the last time I took a trade like that was on HCNWF, and that was because it was like a pump runner. But it had that same look where it just kind of held its highs, and every day it just kept on going higher because it was being manipulated. But it had that same look that so many OTCs did back in the day. So
Yeah, those were I can see it in my head right now. Like the perfect close that I would have guaranteed you like 95 times out of 100 you're getting a gap up. A morning spike was like a morning spike, illiquid consolidation all day, and then we break the highs in the last 10 minutes, but we don't go like parabolic. We just go from like 60 cents to 65.
right,
You get that 5 cent cushion out from your entry in the afternoon, um, which is a big thing for me for overnight longs. I really want to have some sort of cushion so that way I can let after hours and pre-market play out without me being super attached to it. Um, because there is a lot of weird price action that happens after hours where stocks on no volume can move decent percentage moves in either direction. And I don't want to be glued to my phone or computer for 4 hours after the close, feeling like it's near my risk and I don't feel safe. And you just get out for no reason. Then it gaps up and does what you wanted. So cushion's really important. It needs to be part of a big picture daily chart setup. So usually for me, this is only going to occur on breakouts. I try not to buy the initial runs and try to gap those up like Kellogg does because I've just had really poor luck doing it because I lack the ability to get an entry with a cushion. So it's usually on stocks that have been moving in the past couple days or a week. looking for that consolidation that Kyle's talking about. And then, yeah, I like that same strong type of close, holding key resistance as support. Um, and it is just kind of a look you get when you see it that you feel pretty confident that you're going to get a gap up. So those would be the most important things. Like all these daily charts we've been talking about, uh, and then a behavior. So if the stock is proven on its initial run that it tends to gap up the next day and spike, and has proven that it can do that, then I'm more likely to believe it can do it again if it has the volume and the look on the chart. So that's something I incorporate a lot more on listed stocks than I used to in OTCs, where everything was just a swing. Now you have so many runners where they kind of gap down slightly, then go green, and then squeeze out. And the multi-day runs are actually quite difficult to be a part of, which is why the cushion's important. But using the daily charts behavior to uh, kind of tell me what to expect, what levels I should be risking, and how patient I should be,
Right.
or if I even should be swinging.
Makes me think of that made me think the most recent one I did was NKLA, because it always had that, like you said, it has a
Yeah,
history of gapping up on those huge volume days, and it was like from one, I don't know, was it 110 to 120 or 130 or something like that recently, like it was last 2 months or so.
Nicola.
Yeah, NKLA.
Oh my God, you talk about the initial one. Yeah, that was a great one. 150 to three, basically. The gap up was
And then
basically
what
three.
was the last one where it went from like 115?
Yeah, it went from like 60 cents to $1.85 over like 5 days without going red.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. That's what I remember. IMPP is my biggest trade ever, and that was the same type of scenario where kind of like NKLA. I don't know if I ever said those two were correlated, but I feel like I had to have because now that's the exact same reason that I nailed Nicola. It's just you have that 4 or 5 day move that gets it on your radar, but it's not like the type of runner that everyone's like drooling over like your LIFWs. It's not just crazy action. It's just like a really clean move. And then those stocks hold up. They actually have like the sentiment. They're part of a sector. They have the volume. And then you all usually that breakout is way different than the first run. But once it's proven that it can run multiple days and gap up, it's kind of like that Nicola where the next day is just gold.
Right.
And that one, yeah, because and that's the cushion I'm talking about. If you guys are looking on your own charts and stuff, like I was in from sub 160, we close at 220. I feel a lot better about swinging that overnight, even if it fails, because I'm making money. But versus being in from 220 and it closing at 220, yeah, it still gaps to three or 280s. But those are situations where you can find yourself cutting at 730 because you don't want to swing it overnight because you're nervous.
Right. Let's see. Will asks KRRO can or ran not can ran some more during after hours today, thinking 50 can be the next potential resistance level question mark. Well,
What is this?
considering you said it ran in after hours, and I'm looking at the chart here, it bursted right through 50, no problem. Mainly because it looks super liquid, and now it's gone from what 20 to 60 in after hours in 2 days, only trading 345,000 shares in the day. Just super liquid. Clearly,
These are
50,
scary ones.
yeah, clearly 50 wasn't the resistance level. Frankly, when you have new runners like this, there's no really resistance level that you can like predict. I mean, yeah, you can
I see
use
40 as being the biggest resistance level.
yeah, definitely from midday. I mean, you can use round numbers 40, 50, 60, 75,
I was
100.
on the daily chart. Do you not see that big volume day? Am I missing that?
I don't know. My TOS only showed me yesterday and today.
Oh, that's from July. I was just there's daily chart level, one level above, and it was at
Really?
40.
Yeah, maybe it's a new ticker or a SPAC or I don't know. I only see this. This is all I got. I just got
Oh,
just
then
3 days.
something's probably up. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I
Huh.
want to focus
I have a daily
anything?
chart. I don't know how real it is though.
Anyways,
We would
focus
probably
like
just say that sounds scary, and the fact that we can't figure out what it is, or it says 700K flow on,
yikes. Yeah.
and you're trading how much you say 200K?
Yeah, 250K.
That's just
Sorry,
a
350K.
recipe. It's one of those situations where you trade it as a beginner, you make money, you learn a bad lesson, and these are the ones that fart all over your face in
Then
the
yeah,
future.
2 years later, you've grown your account. You try to take a bigger size, and then you get absolutely screwed.
Yeah, and these are enticing. I remember being a beginner, just being like, okay, am I really going to ignore 14 to 60? Yeah, I don't care about the volume. It's gonna come. It's gonna come down. It's going lower. Um, but then again, you find yourself in situations where it's not normal. It's not liquid. It's not doesn't have the eyes and the attention of everyone, and so you make stupid mistakes. You short bad levels. You get nervous due to the illiquidity. Um, those are just really good, I feel like, avoids for, anyone. And I'm sure any big trader is not watching this.
Right. Let's see. Austin asks, what platform do you guys prefer for charting? Prefer. I mean, it's more like I use. I mean, I use DAS Mobile as my main one, or not DAS Mobile. I use DAS for my main one. I have Thinkorswim up on one computer. I have Stocks Trade up on another. I have E-Trade Pro. It's like I really have all of them. It's just depending on which one I'm particularly looking at the time, but mostly it's DAS for me.
Yeah, I use E-Trade Pro just because it's what I'm used to. And honestly, I think that's a big reason I struggle on like the way that Jack trades at the conference, like where he's doing it from his phone and putting orders in. Like I'm such used to such a look on like an E-Trade chart. Like when I have my DAS up next to it and I'm trading the ticker on DAS, I am using the chart in level 2 from E-Trade still because like it just looks different. Like DAS, I feel like everything in the new E-Trade charts too is zoomed in so much. You can make anything look good or bad, like depending on what you want.
Hmm.
In E-Trade, it just kind of the whole day kind of starts to show itself on one chart. And I'm a classic user. And I have the colors changed, so it's like a different type of black background and different volume bars. I don't know. The answer to this question is whatever makes sense to you and is looks clean. You can manipulate it. You can do it really quickly. Click around, change orders. Um, it's all personal preference. There's no right or wrong answer.
Right. I actually will catch myself doing that too. I'll see a chart on DAS, take a look at it, feel good about it, but then I say, you know what? Let me look at this at a different chart just to double check. And I'll find myself then going to Thinkorswim and then checking the daily chart on that. It's like it's still the same daily chart, but the
Yeah,
how different softwares present them to your eye, like it definitely. I find some value in being able to look at the same chart but two different platforms.
I also think the size of the chart. When so at my setup, I have one big main screen with a giant chart, and then a bunch of little charts on other screens.
Mhm.
And sometimes stuff out of the corner of my eye will look like a really nice swizzle or an ABCD, and then I pull up on the main chart, and I'm like, am I looking at the same thing?
Right.
And that's with your phone too. It's hard to like zoom all the way out to get the clear picture when I'm trading on a chart that's like 6 phones big.
Right. Yeah, it could look very different.
What are some of the best practices to implement to minimize slippage? From Frosty.
Minimize. I mean, I don't know if there's. I mean, be quicker, have a faster practice a lot of this. Just did it really quick as you possibly can, or have a hotkey, or for me, I would say prepare for slippage. Like, know it's almost account for it in your risk management. So, like, if you know, almost every time you risk on a trade, like add an extra percent of on the stock's value to like be like, okay, if I'm gonna risk 10 cents, but the stock's at $1, like let's plan on covering at 111 or 112. Like already assume, a certain amount of slippage. That way then it doesn't turn into slippage. Like you have your stop loss at 110, you prepare to stop out at 111, 112, 113. So instead of 10 cents of risk from like say a $1 entry, if I'm shorting, right? Instead of 10 cents of risk, it's 13 cents of risk. And so now when I'm cutting it over 110, it's going to be an actual average loss with the slippage versus not. And if you get a good fill and if there's no slippage, then you actually just get a smaller loss than normal. Like that's the way to do it, where you almost take slippage out of it and account for it in the loss. So
Yeah, I think that's probably the best answer is to build it into your risk. That's going to help you to not click, you don't want to micromanage the trade to the point where, let's say you are short something, you're risking high a day, you're just kind of sitting with your finger on the trigger because you're so nervous about losing a penny or two extra that you cut it when it's just testing the level of your risk level. So having that built-in extra 5 or 10 cents, whatever it is on the price of the stock, can allow you to kind of let the trade plan play out because you're not worried about losing more than your thing. Kind of what you're saying, it's already incorporated into your number and it can only be better if you feel better. Just making sure you're trading stocks. You're using the proper size on a stock based off its volume. If its stock's trading 200 million shares in a day, no size that you take for any of us is going to really affect it. BBBYQ. But if you're trading that KRRO and trying to do it with 10K lots, probably going to have issues getting in at the price you want or out at the price you want. So I think liquidity is a really big thing. And then stop losses. If you, hard stops, if you just put in a hard stop at the level you want to risk at, I tend to put, if I'm putting a hard stop in, a couple pennies below or above my actual risk level, so that way they don't kind of hunt for my stop and then trigger it. And yeah, that's a good way to force you to stick to your plan and get the best possible fill. You can use a limit or a market for those stops. Um, but yeah, if you're too slow to click it and you stress out on a low float when you're short, that's when you're going to catch the slippage even more. Is if it's blown through 250, you put your limit at 251, then you move it up to 259. Now it's at 275. You're catching all the slippage because you're just trying to get out manually when it could have just been done for you.
Right. Do you want to keep leading the questions down there?
Yeah, I'll look at it. There was one about something. CDIO first green day or prefer another red day before playing. Wasn't that just barely red at the end of the day?
Yeah, definitely need another red one. I mean, I'm not a big first Green Day player, but just from the mere fact it only closed down like not even 1% or two. I mean, not even. It closed literally less than 1% red on the day. I wouldn't even consider this a first red day. Like you need a little bit more downside for that kind of pattern that you're referring to of a first Green Day, so to speak. Um, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised to see this below 120 tomorrow. And if that's the case, then yeah, you're in a much better situation for that first reversal day. But if I had to guess, I mean, off a buck would be pretty round number symmetrical, right? But I have no idea if it actually does that or not.
Yeah, so by definition for me, this would be the first red day, but we're a lot closer to the highs than we are where this run started. And I really, for a first green day to work, I want the shorts to win. I want the fading to actually happen. I want, you know, a reversal for me would be one red day. Anything past that would be a first green day because the stock's been red multiple days in a row. But it doesn't feel like true backside's really in. If I just pull up like a 5 day chart, if 120 holds all day tomorrow and we curl up and close at 160, this is now a multi-day breakout setup for me. So until we distance ourselves from the highs a little bit more, um, I'm not really interested. I really want to see that kind of the pattern's over, right? The crazy spikes have happened, the harsh red days have come, and now the last part of the move is, shorts are going to cover, dip buyers are going to come in, and then the stock's going to fade to oblivion. And so we're still kind of right in the middle of the life cycle right now, and it's not guaranteed that this goes lower. It's not guaranteed it goes higher, today. I mean, tomorrow or the next day. But I need that to really separate itself from the highs a lot more. Prove to me that the run's over.
Right. I agree.
Well, I'm happy. With float checker gone, Frosty says. I just like the name, sorry. Would you say dilution checker is the most accurate to check float? Dilution, what is float checker's gone?
Yeah, that's that. I guess that just happened when you were gone. If you put on the website, they said something like
Shut
due
down due
due to
competing work obligations and increased difficulties with data collection. They were killing it.
yeah.
That was one of the coolest things ever. Well,
Yeah, so they're down. I mean,
RIP.
yeah, unfortunately, we're back to having to check multiple sources. I mean, yeah, Delusion Tracker, Yahoo Finance, Finviz. I think those three are pretty solid. Find the average of the three. See what you come up with. Go to the SEC
Uh,
filings. That makes it even the most accurate if you want to do some digging.
Filings is probably your most accurate. Um, Delusion Tracker I trust. Like there's only a few times I look at it and I'm like, that doesn't look right. Um, yeah. If you have Delusion Tracker, I mean, it's the quickest one. It's just written for you right at the top. You can see that standing shares, everything right there. And you can go into the filings on there as well. That does it take you to BAMStack? No, it has its own little thing. Um, yeah, that's what I would use. Okay. Kyle, how did you play CDIO today? Asking because I entered initially at 170, risking high a day, and then added on the second bounce and moved risk to 164 and got faked out on that quick spike. As I was going through the chat earlier, I think you did a good job explaining it. You even posted your end of day chart with it, right?
I did.
So, Mason, if you're not in the room, now's a great time. 7 day trial. But there's no time but the present to get in with your 7 day, $7 trial. So I'm sure Kyle will still explain it for you, but you could have already had that question answered if you were in the room.
Yeah, I'm happy with how I played today. I have a again, I posted my chart in the room. I also made a video that should be going to Clover Story here by today, maybe tomorrow, showing my chart as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, essentially, I mean, I was looking for a first red day. I got stopped out in the morning when it broke over yesterday's highs, but then I quickly reshorted, and I essentially ended up covering with a in the 130s average, I would say. Um, and I say I know what Dom is meaning by I played it probably the best or the best I could because it was met with that kind of midday spike that really stopped a lot of people out. Right, it stopped out Kellogg. Kellogg said he kind of threw in the towel. Kellogg was super aggressive on it this morning in the room, but once it had that second kind of spike
Did
back,
I see he had 200 and something thousand short?
yes, he was crazy. I
Classic.
don't know what gave him so
Then
much
then he
conviction.
was long, wasn't he?
So then, yeah. So I remember correctly, he was huge size short, covered it. Then it held over VWAP for him long enough to feel like he was long it. And if I'm not mistaken, I wish he was here to correct me if I'm wrong, but he literally longed it like seconds before it like just death candled. So like he longed it and then it just immediately dropped from what was it like the 160 to
170
like
to like 140.
yeah, just all in one candle. I think he had small size though because he stopped out at like 150. He had like a stop loss in. Um, so yeah, after that drop, it kind of gave me confirmation that we're probably going to fade lower, and I cover the rest. And like I think my best cover was 126, but covered most in the 130s, and so I made like 4K. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit frustrated because my first stop out from taking it from the 150s to like the high 170s with slippage was a bigger loss than I wanted. I really wish I didn't have as much size as I did. So I made my loss back and some, about 4K. But had I not taken as big of a loss in the front, this probably should have been closer to a 10K win. Should maybe more like an 8 or 9K from 4K, but it happens. I'm just glad I traded the best I could after the fact and still walked away profitable. But yeah, that's kind of how it went down. So.
It's kind of a sticky situation where I'm trying to come up. And it's what I do when I look at charts in hindsight when I wasn't watching this morning. I try to accurately, transparently tell myself how I would have traded it and where I would have actually lost. And if I took your approach and felt like today was the day it was going to go down, I'm shorting a morning spike, risking yesterday's high. I'm getting stopped out. If I wait for weakness to happen, my average is going to be so bad. I'm probably going to have a 150 average.
Right.
And I'm probably stopping out into the midday thing because my risk is so far away that I'm uncomfortable.
Right. That's the only
So
reason why I think I stayed in it because I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think a few other traders in the chat room made that mistake, or not mistake, but dealt with that same, obstacle, which is like because I reshorted quickly in that lower high at like 165 to 172-ish or 3-ish, right? Like literally the first lower high it set after it faked out. I immediately realized like if this holds under yesterday's highs again, it's going to look like a fake out and then die. So I was quick to react and reshort there because yeah, had I not reshorted there, it ended up getting like a 165 average after it was all said and done. Right, I would have taken most of my size at 150s, and then absolutely, it would have been extremely uncomfortable on that pop, and probably would have covered or downsized when I really didn't necessarily need to. So that definitely was my saving grace, so to speak, to stick to the plan no matter what at a high day risk. So
I believe you're not swinging this.
Um,
Daily chart just looks like
yeah,
you
I
would be
mean,
all over it.
believe me, I definitely don't deny that it probably will work tomorrow. I don't know. I think because like that midday again, taking the loss, riding through the midday bounce, then getting. I mean, even the fade after it happened was still pretty choppy. Like it certainly wasn't necessarily the smoothest. So I think I just spent so much time on it today that I was like, you know what, I don't really care to spend any more energy on it. I don't feel wiped out from it, but I just don't also feel like putting any more energy to swing it. And some part of me, maybe I'm being greedy. Some part of me thinks like I'll have a chance to get just as good of an entry as where I covered. Could be wrong. It could gap down to 130 or lower, and then I never see those prices again. But something tells me like I'm gonna be able to get like a 135 plus entry. Could be dead wrong, but we'll see. We'll have to find out. Because you know what I'm talking
52
about.
likes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we're doing great.
52 likes and 52 watching.
Yeah. Sweet. But you know what I'm talking
saying?
about, right? Like there's some red days where it's like you swing them to the second day and it's like perfect. Like of course you're swinging, it's great, it works out amazingly. And then there's other days where it's like you swung and it may still have worked, but the choppiness in the morning like would have given you the exact same entry that you had
Yeah.
in the first, or where at least you would have covered. So it's like, why did I even take it overnight when I could get? And it's hard to say. You're speaking in hindsight. You don't know it. So I'm in some ways I'm kind of taking a gamble on CDIO. We'll see.
Yeah. That would have been one where I feel like if you had the initial plan to, or it just you had a price target of like under 120, it never got there, that this is the type of cushion I'd feel good about with that daily chart. Big red candle day, stuff move into the highs. What was the news on this one? BS?
On CDIO,
Yeah.
I think it was like AI healthcare related, like using AI to help their patients with something, if I'm not mistaken.
See. Okay. I'm not seeing that, but I probably have to dig into it. But okay. We'll see here on Good Morning Nasdaq what it does in the morning. I can't wait to be there with you guys.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is Clover trading pro Bitcoin or just Kyle? I think just Kyle. Kyle, I'll tell you what, I'm not pro anything I don't know anything about, and I've never dug into it. Kyle knows what he's talking about. He's researched it, so if he's wrong, I think he feels comfortable about it.
Right.
I don't feel that comfortable.
I was about to give the same answer. It's like I think I'm pro, but I think the rest of Clover's just they're not pro or against. So I know Kellogg owns a couple coins, like one or two, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he
Yes.
has way too much FOMO not to do something like that.
Yeah, and I think I've given them the FOMO. So yeah, not pro, not against. They're just we accept it, but we're not. The rest of the Clover's not really maybe pro.
I've been doing a lot of covering. Is this a crazy move in the long run? I mean, I have been winning a lot. LOL. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, might have to be a little more specific, Fran, on covering too early, covering for profits.
I mean, you got to cover to get out.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd hope you to be. I mean, yeah. If you're if you're not doing any covering, I'm kind of worried. Like, are you just riding shorts out forever? Like, how does that work?
What is your favorite scanner? I use Benzinga Pro, and I like it. Every scanner to me, I've had trade ideas. I've had scans, which was previous what was that one called? Was it called scans and then now it's something else?
No, I think it was something else, and it was
Equity feed.
equity feed and now it scans, right?
And it's kind of like they're all competing to do like more and more and more crazy information. But I really just like my software to be very simple and just give me what I need to know. So I'm not a good person to ask. As long as it's giving me the list of the top percent gainers and I can filter it however I want, I'm happy. So yeah, that's a scanner that I use. Dilution tracker for me is exactly what I'm talking about. Everything's so concise and easy. You can get everything you need. I love dilution tracker.
Yeah, dilution tracker's become very popular, rightfully so.
These
They
people
just-
probably don't
yeah.
even know that DVDs existed by Michael Good called How to Read SEC Filings, and that is how we had to. If you wanted the fundamentals, you had to go searching every morning. Remember the keywords? Control F.
Yep. Start
ATM
diving.
at with a hyphen.
I did that today. I did that today when the
AMC.
when the AMC earnings came out. I immediately started control Fing like ATM, at the market offering, dilution, loans, concerning risk. I was like, let me find it all. Like where, and I found nothing. So,
But yeah. What do you scan with stocks trade?
yeah. So yeah, I scan with stocks trade, and one of these things that I was going to tap on is like whatever scanner you use. I find that it's very human nature. Like whatever I have found, whatever traders usually have started with, or got comfortable with, they use. It's like it's comfortability is I don't know what the saying is. Like when you get comfortable with something, it's hard to actually make someone change. And so for me, I know I've always had stock trade from the beginning. It's like the first screener I bought. It still gets the job done for me. I don't really have any huge issues with it, and so I still have it, still use it, still scan for it, and like I said, it gets the job done for me. So that's definitely what I use.
Very cool. Hey, very cool. I
Management
was just so
says
scared of management. I hit the like.
management says Kyle is more than pro Bitcoin. He is in love. I'm love Bitcoin. That's what I am. Speaking of which, though,
Bitcoin.
Jack Kellogg actually got me this wall lamp here, so I wouldn't even have thought about it. But
You didn't buy it yourself?
Jack got it for me. I think it was for my birthday. I don't know whenever else he would have gotten it for me, but yeah, he definitely bought it for me. So it's funny.
Happy birthday, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks.
Happy birthdays in the chat for Kyle.
We forgot that that joke where it's like not it's like for chat like it's not my birthday, but was it you to Dom or how, was it you to
No, it was
Huddy or
me. Everyone
Huddy to
said
you?
I don't know if I started it a long time ago, and then he started doing it as anger, and just kept it going.
Yeah, it's like every day
But
is Dom's
for a while,
birthday.
it was every Wednesday was my birthday for a while, and
Yeah,
then we did a sale for it.
and then yeah, never again. No more Dom's birthday.
Okay, we'll answer another question or two. Get out of here. Is your guys' plan in the future going to be to expand out to larger cap names and transferring short-term profits into long-term investing? Similar journey to Short Bear. That's not really mine. Who knows what the future holds? I mean, we've been trading what, 7 or 8 years, and it feels like I just started. Um, I'd still like to get really good at the trading that we do and learn how to adapt to a couple different types of markets, get the 20 or 30 years experience under my belt, kind of like Nate. You see how just he's so fluent in small cap, everything in the market nowadays, but he's just had so much networking done and built so much skill sets. I think I'm still well into that phase. Um, in terms of large cap names, I've tried to study some. It, such a different game. Like it's not like going from the minors to the majors where you're playing the same game. It's just the game gets a little faster. It is a completely different world when you're dealing with trading Tesla or the SPY or learning how to trade options versus, buying a multi-day breakout of LIFW. Um, and so I don't think that's like you can just choose to do that. You still would have to put so much time in the same time you do for small caps to build a strategy
Right.
for yourself.
Yeah, this is a good question because I think Short Bear's really done a great job at that, where he's kind of mastered his trading game in terms of small cap, and now going on to bigger and better things. Um, I definitely have an itch for sure. I definitely glamorize the idea in my head of being able to fundamentally pick really good winners in a mid cap to large cap space. But do I have any track record whatsoever of doing that? Absolutely not. And also, part of me doesn't almost have the motivation either. Like again, I romanticize it in my brain, but then when it actually comes down to having to put some kind of risk on the table or doing some really extensive DD in terms of actually finding fundamental valuations and long-term growth, and that's where you kind of lose me. I'm like, I don't care that much. Again, I care enough to like get started, but then to follow through and like really then convictively place the trade, no. I mean, I definitely am, again, similar to putting in a long-term portfolio of like dividend stocks. I have started in other ways just investing in the overall markets, like the SPY and QQQ per se. Yeah, it's not really answering your question of like long-term large cap names individually, but in terms of just being with the market's returns, like, yeah, I've slowly started into that as well. More so for retirement, not so like in terms of making more money. Like I said, that's mainly what trading is for me. But then putting that trading profits aside for retirement, for other investments, for diversification, etc. Yeah, I've started that, but not necessarily what Short Bear does, picking individual winners and stuff like that. So
Okay.
yeah,
What do you say we make like a turtle and get on out of here?
yeah, it's been over an hour. It's flown by. I almost didn't realize the time, but clearly, if you notice, if you go back to the beginning of the stream, and now my room's changed color. We've gone very dark
It's
here.
dark.
Yeah, sun has
Wait,
set, or it's about
really?
to. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
It was so sun. Wait, it's 5 o'clock for you.
It is early. Well, the daylight we just had daily savings.
Yeah, my sun goes down at 5:30, and that feels crazy early.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely early still here. We used to be six
Wait,
plus, right?
rises in the east, sets in the west. Okay. I'm just
It's
trying to
like
make
math
sense of why your sun would go down earlier.
sooner. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. I noticed that. I noticed it in the Midwest too. Like it's whenever I've been in Texas, like the sunsets just last. It'll be like 8 o'clock, and I was like, why is the sun still out?
It's like Alaska.
Yeah, exactly. Like what?
I want to go to one of those places where it's like when you get like 3 months of light and it never gets dark. I'm blanking on the term. Someone help me.
Yeah, I don't.
What is
It's
it called?
I don't know. But in the North Pole or South
Something
Pole,
summer, isn't it?
endless summer.
Alaska, sun out all day. Endless summer is the thing. Midnight sun. How is the longest? whatever. I'm not getting my answers here. I've seen it on TV where it was like just straight sun out and people were going to sleep, probably on Discovery Channel, or else I wouldn't be talking about Alaska, right?
Yeah.
Summer solstice, is that something?
Retrograde? Mercury?
Oh, all right, fine. Tomorrow morning, 8:45 a.m. I am back. Will Huddy be there? Where is he today?
I believe he's considering he's been in Vegas. He's kind of checked out for. I mean, maybe he'll show up tomorrow. I don't know. I will if he doesn't show up. I mean, either way, I'll commit to being there tomorrow as well.
Dude,
But yeah,
I'm gonna have to owe you so much more. Big thank you. Last time W's in the chat for Kyle for stepping up this week on the West Coast, doing Good Morning Nasdaq, 8:45 a.m. But I will be back tomorrow, Thursday. What do we got for dates? The 9th?
yeah.
9th of
November
October.
9th? November, not
Um,
October.
and we'll see where these stocks are. We'll talk about some hopefully new gappers, and we'll continue to get me back on track after my long break in the woods. So yeah, we will see you guys there first thing in the morning. As always, it looks like you guys hit the like button plenty of times because apparently there's 4 more likes than viewers. That's a good sign, always.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, if you like what you see, we post videos every Monday right here on the channel. We're live Monday through Friday, once or twice a day. So make sure that you are subscribed, that notification bell is turned on so you get activated with the notification when we go live. And if you want to join the movement, the rocket ship that is Clover, get in the room, get more access to us, our webinars, video lessons, link in the description. 7-day trial for $7. And if that doesn't float your fancy, we have Clover Academy. Use promo code FREE at checkout if you want it for free.
For free. Free for free.
Free for free for all.
All right, everybody. Till next time.
Bye.
See you in the morning. Peace.